control. Breach in 5, 4, 3.
What's up, guys? It's Uncle Freedom coming to you on another glorious and well-deserved day off. And today we're going to get a look at Uncomfortable Prepping Truths, Volume 4. So for those of you that like this kind of stuff, maybe you're interested in what I'm going to say next, go ahead and like, subscribe, tell a friend. The channel is growing. It's awesome. If you need to get in touch with me, you can find me at Uncle Freedom 213 on Instagram or Facebook, or Uncle Freedom 213 at outlook.com. So go ahead, like, subscribe, do all that fun stuff, and let's get into the Uncomfortable Truths About Prepping, Volume 4. Number 1, you ain't got enough batteries. You don't have anywhere near enough batteries to do anything that you think you do. Like I'm OCD about batteries just because like they die. It's gonna happen, and you don't have enough. I don't have enough. Nobody has enough batteries. Like think about how much stuff you have on a day-to-day basis that your life revolves around that you need batteries for. Now take that situation and look at it from the game of, I don't know if I can get more batteries because the world just, went belly up. Think about all the stuff that we have to have extra, extra power banks for our phones, CR123s for flashlights, 18650s, 21700s, 18350s, like 2032s. Just think about how much stuff takes batteries. You need more. Number 2, you have not planned this enough. So I mentioned something, and I mentioned it a couple of times now, but I'm going to do it now in another prepping video, and that is PACE. Primary, alternate, contingency, emergency. That is the planning model that we use in the military to decide when we plan out stuff what our options are. Having 4 different ways to accomplish the same thing. You might not like your emergency plan, but all the emergency plan has to do is you survive it. However, you need to be planning this at a better, I cannot believe that I forgot to put this in on volume 1. PACE is incredibly important. People always talk about MET-TC. No, PACE. If you are planning anything out for a long-term situation, a bug out, your preps, whatever, you need to plan according to PACE. You need to have that primary plan, and then if the primary plan fails, what's your alternate? If the alternate plan you can't do it, what's your contingency? If the contingency doesn't, what's your emergency? How do you live through it? Plan out that way. Number 3. From the bug out series, y'all, but I feel like this is important. You cannot eat ammunition. As much as we like having lots and lots of ammunition, and I agree we should have all more, and how much ammo do you need? The answer to that is yep. You can't eat it. You can turn it into stuff, like by harvesting animals, but you can't eat it. So if your solution to everything you have is I have 150,000 rounds of ammunition and I have enough food for 3 months, you're off. You need to stop buying ammo for a minute, start buying food, water, things like that. Nothing. Number 4, absolutely nothing, and I mean nothing, about shit hit the fan, T.O. Tawaki without rule law is going to be a good time. There's no way it can be. When we think about it, we have this romantic ideal of what survival is or preparedness is and how we're going to be okay, and the world's going to crash and burn and we're going to sit at home with our 5-year supply of freeze-dried food and beans and rice, and we've got our ammo and our guns, and we have this secured, we have all this stuff, and in our brain it's super romantic and it's going to be great. It's going to suck, because you also have to think, with all of those things, you now no longer have access to immediate health care. You don't have a dentist. If your crops don't come in, you now don't have fresh food. If somebody contaminates your water, you don't have a water source. If it decides to go into a drought for 2 years, you're super screwed. It's not going to be a good time. Nothing about this will be fun. It will suck almost assuredly the whole way through it if you live. Number 5, It is far more important to practice the things that you don't like to do than it is to do the things that you do like to do. We all love to shoot, go to the range, have a good time, right? We all love that. We all love to go out into the woods and go hike. We all like to patrol. We all, we love to do these things. But there's stuff I guarantee you don't like to do, right? Like, and the stuff that you don't like to do are the areas that you have the least amount of experience and the least amount of comfort in. So they should be something that you're extra focused on, because the other stuff, like I love to shoot, right? If I put all of my energy into shooting, I'm not progressing somewhere else that I need to, but I can also step back from that shooting as much and focus my time and energy on something that needs work, that I don't have as strong of a skill set in. And then go back to shooting because my baseline was higher. I can continue to evolve there, but I'm putting in extra work at the things that I don't particularly like to do. Number 6, you have a ton of high-end stuff. That's amazing. You bought the top of the line, best stuff that you could find, and that is the way you should do this. However, no matter how nice stuff is, it breaks and fails. It just does. I mean, from super high-end custom 1911s to AK-47s to big Berkeys to all of these things, they all have a weakness that can and inevitably will fail. And if all of your eggs are in that basket and you didn't have any kind of a plan, an alternate plan to do the same thing, when it fails, you are dead in the water. Everything you have, no matter how nice it is, how much money you spent on it, will it last longer? Sure. But now if we're using that 10 times as much as it was ever intended to be used because we don't have another option and then it fails, we're just dead in the water. So no matter how nice your stuff is or how much money you spent, the odds of it not breaking, really low. Number 7, I guarantee you have underestimated the importance of a comfort item. 100% everybody does this. Well, that's kind of dumb. That's just a comfort item. Morale has a very direct impact on how well you do every day. Think about it this way: if you have small children and your children are down and out and you take their stuff away, it's punishment, but they also don't want to do anything because their morale is low. Having your morale beaten down or lacking comfort items because you chose to be more efficient is going to end up to you being miserable as hell. I mean, it's not worth it, man. You can never underestimate how important having something. Now, I'm not saying all comfort items and very few normal things, but I'm saying having a few rock solid comfort items that you enjoy, like a paperback book or a sketchbook if you like to draw, and some pencils, things like that, can help your brain deal with what is most assuredly a really crappy situation, because as I stated before in point number 4, nothing about this is going to be a good time. You have to have comfort items to help you cope with the bad crap you see and do. That's just basic psychology. We have to do that. Otherwise, if you don't offload those things, they cripple you later. So never underestimate the importance of a comfort item. Number 8, don't get treed by a chihuahua. What do I mean by that? Do not be so focused on one thing that you will be put out or put down by something very small. You are so ultra focused on medical, guns, and defense, right? But you did not think about a certain aspect like having extra salt, because you maybe don't eat a lot of salt now, but as our diets change, as the food changes and our caloric intakes change, things like salt become extra important because we have to maintain an electrolyte balance in our body. And if all of a sudden you're put down and you can't do anything because your electrolyte balance is so jacked up and you can't get enough into your system that you don't focus, that's a very small item that you could have corrected, but you just got treated by a chihuahua because your focus was on everything else that you expected to go wrong. Number 9, you will never ever be fully prepped. It's like we joke, we lie to ourselves and our wives and tell them oh no, if I just get this one more thing, we'll be set there, right? But you'll never be done, right? So don't do this with the anticipation that, well, I'm good. But you're never good. Like, we can all like look at this and be like, I should improve on that, or I don't have enough of this, or things change, right? Like, maybe you weren't so worried about ammo and you have some, but 5 years from now, you've had to dip into your stockpile because Lake City's no longer selling to the general population, which is 30% of 5.56 ammo, and you're dipping into your stocks, and then it goes wrong. Well, now you have way less ammo to combat the thing. The point is, we'll never be done. And the thing is, like, your food, your water, your stores, and stuff like that, you have to rotate those things, right? Because the last thing you want to do is like build this huge stock of stuff, and then it takes 15 years, and 15 years down the road, something goes wrong, and some of your stuff is bad. We have to rotate that just like a grocery store rotates stuff. We have to rotate our water, rotate our food, rotate your fuel stores, rotate your ammunition. You have to do those things and constantly be evolving with it. So never believe this, that you will ever be finished with what you're doing. This is a lifetime worth of work that will be handed off to somebody else you care about to make their lifetime worth of work easier to accomplish. Good Lord willing. Because here's the thing, you don't want this to happen. Nobody does. But if it does, we want to not die during it. So that's the reason we do what we do. Number 10. You are not outside the box enough. You are not. For your defense, for a lot of things. You are way too inside the lines. You are not thinking far enough outside the box. And I'll tell you why. Desperate people become just ingenious when they're desperate. Like, holy crap. You think I'm kidding? The Taliban had a nasty habit of taking two bicycle wheels and attaching rocket launching tubes to them and shooting like 4-foot long rockets at US troops. That is never intended to be happening, but it's ingenious that they figured out a way to make it work because they were desperate to defeat the US in that conflict, right? They wanted total control, which we ended up giving them, which, don't get me started on that. I'm still pissed. But that's ingenuity. That's making it work. People say necessity is the mother of all invention, necessity is the mother of invention. Desperation is the mother and grandmother and patriarch of ingenuity. If you are desperate and you have nothing, you become ingenious on how to get what you need. So that means if you've got a full defense set up and you've looked at all of these standard approaches that you believe you have under control, but then you get somebody who's starving, or a warlord starving for more power, and they know you have something they want. Make no mistake, people know you have things. When that happens, they will come at you from a direction that is way outside of the box that you weren't expecting, because it doesn't even seem normal in your brain. But you have to look at things outside the box. If you have all of your other bases covered, take a second and be like, if any force of any size were to get here, we'd be screwed, right? Get outside of the box and look at your situation from a different perspective. I guarantee you find a new way to do things. Get outside of your box. Defense, food, water, all that. Get outside of the box and look at it from a different perspective and see if there's a way you could be doing what you're doing better, because I guarantee you, you're not. And 3 little bonus points today. First is, multiple cheap items will never, ever be as good as one high-end version. This applies to water filtration systems, ARs, cookware equipment, backpacks, vehicle stuff, ammunition, armor, knives, like you name it, clothes. This applies all of those places. If you are the person that has 7 Palmetto State Armory AR-15s and all of them have some variation of an LPVO or a red dot on them, you can lie to me and to yourself and justify this by saying that you have extra to arm other people, or you have these because they're parts rifles. If they're parts rifles, have other parts. But if you were to take, say, you had 5 of those and then you sold 3 of them off and then took the money you had from those 3 and built up something really nice, think BCM upper attached to an Arrow lower, a Geisley upper attached to anything else. If you had something, ultra reliable, that was higher end, that was going to last longer, shoot better, be more accurate, be more reliable over time. And you got rid of 3 things that, if I told you your life is on the line, this is the only thing you have, and I gave you one of those 3 that you would have sold, and you were like, no, I'd really rather have that one. That's not what I told you. If you would not take that as your only option, you don't need it. Get rid of it, sell them off, and buy yourself something that would be your just definition of go to hell rifle. Same thing with handguns. If you have 5 Smith & Wesson Sigmas lying around and 1 Glock 19, and then you've got like 8 other daggers sitting over here because you have options. Now, no, like, get a go to hell gun, have spare parts for your go to hell gun to keep that gun running longer, train with it, and be a rock star with it. Don't have 10 different ARs, 5 different bolt guns, and their parts in case. Have other parts. That's cheaper than buying the gun. Plus, you can tailor what you want to everything. I have no problem with you having an extra spare upper built, because you could put that extra upper with a bolt carrier group and everything in your bag, and then literally you would just pop it off, put the optic back on, and go to town. Same thing. If you have 10 different cheap ass red dots and like this, but you find, like, buy a really rock star red dot. Buy a really rock star, best thing you can afford, optic, LPVO. Don't have 10 or 15 of them. And none of them are really what you would choose. If I told you today, your life depends on that decision. Build or buy the thing that you would take every time. 10 out of 10, your life depends on that. Don't have 10 under the guise of it's in case. That's BS. There's nothing wrong with caching rifles in other places, but be honest about what you're doing. Same thing, knives. Like, you see these guys that have like 10 or 15 or 20, like super, like, just bootleg ass knives, right? Buy a good Essie, a good Tops, though I'm not entirely sold on some of the newer Top stuff. A good Essie, a Tops. Having a couple of extra Moras, there's nothing wrong with that. But have those, like, a really rock star solid knife that if you lost them all and you had that one, you're still okay. Armor, don't cheap on armor. I don't give a shit. I don't care. Steel plates are not armor. Oh, but they stop bullets. But you can get your shit vibe checked if they hit you. Get a good set of plates. Even if you can only afford one really good set of plates, buy one good set of plates and build out your carrier. You guys are going to see my new plate carrier, the build out I'm going for that. I'm pretty excited because I finally went and just upgraded it to the one that I really wanted instead of having 10 or 15 different ones. Bonus point number 2, whether you have planned for it or not, and whatever you've planned for, it's going to be far worse than you think. And if the event's not far worse than you think, the fallout from the event will be. This goes back to that it's going to suck thing. If an EMP shuts us all back down to the Stone Age, that's bad. Now just imagine what happens when people get desperate, or the people, more importantly, other countries that could possibly exploit it to take control of what we hold dear. It's going to be worse than we think, right? That's how it is. Like, you plan for the worst, then think about what happens if it was worse than that, then plan to that. You'll be okay. And bonus points number 3. If it is stupid and it works, it is not stupid. If you have a way of doing something that everybody dogs on you for, but it gets you results and it does it perfect every time, it is not dumb and you are on to something. It doesn't have to work for everybody else. It has to work for you. Don't chase the Joneses. Do what's right for you. Because at the end of the day, me, Billy Bob down the street, this guy over here that commented negatively on your post on Facebook, they're not living with you. So if it works for you, who cares? I simply provide these things to make you think about what could happen or a possibility outside of that. Remember, if it's stupid and it works, it's not stupid. Just food for thought. So guys, Uncomfortable Truths of Prepping Volume 4 in the books. Feel free to go check out the other 2 in this series, or the other 3 in this series at this point, plus the bug out bag, hard truths, some fun stuff there. If you're a reloader, tons of videos on that. Playlist on medical. Again, I am Uncle Freedom. Take care of yourself, take care of each other, and until next time, I'll see you later.